Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the show. It is episode 342, and it's October 25th, 2022, and I'm joined once again by my man out in Cedar City, Iowa, Kyle Klingman. Kyle, how we doing today?
How could I not be doing good? We got the All-Star meet coming up, dude.
Yes, it is less than a month away. I'm pumped about that, and pumped about today's guest, and he will be competing in the All-Star Duel. He's ranked number 1 in the FloWrestling rankings at 157 pounds. Michigan's Will Lewan. Will, thanks for joining us today. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here and excited about the All-Star meet. And I do want to talk about that, but I kind of want to go back and just kind of hear your journey through the sport and I guess just like how old were you when and how did you get introduced to the sport and how old were you?
Man, I was probably in like 5th grade when I first started wrestling, and my parents never wrestled, so it was kind of new to my family when I first began wrestling. And I really started because I would foul out of every basketball game that I played when I was younger. And my mom was like, we need to get you in a new sport that's more physical, something that, you can use your physicality. And I started wrestling because, I played football at the time, and that was my favorite sport. But I don't know. I adopted wrestling and really loved it, and just pretty much quit every other sport after that once I just started wrestling because I just loved it so much.
You would fall out of every basketball game. That's freaking hilarious. Yeah. So like 5th grade, you wrestled and probably played football and I don't know if you did baseball or anything else, but like 6th grade, 7th grade, you were like, you immediately said, dude, I'm all in. This is a sport for me.
Yeah, it took a couple years, but I never really grew that much when I was younger, like
I heard that.
enough to be like consider football as like a really good big option. So I felt like I had a much better shot at wrestling. Plus, I picked up fast on it immediately, so I went with it.
Yeah. So like when you say you picked up fast, like what do you remember about your first practice or your first year or two? Like why you liked it and how much success were you having?
Yeah, I mean, I just liked the fact that I could go in there and beat up on someone. I started wrestling with my local club in Chicago when I first started, and then I eventually got introduced to Izzy, but Izzy Martinez, who became my coach throughout high school. And yeah, I mean, my first tournament wrestling, I pinned everyone I wrestled, so I was like, damn, this is fun. And then yeah, I feel like I found success early, even at the state level. But yeah.
Sure. And so you started in 5th grade. When did you meet Izzy? Because I don't know what my experience was. When I did youth wrestling, it was a bunch of dads maybe that had wrestled in the past, and they're teaching us double legs and halves. And then you meet like a specialized guy like Izzy, who's like he's got a lot of experience. How old were you when you met Izzy, and how much different or more specialized was that kind of training?
Yeah, so I was like, oh man, probably 7th grade. I met Izzy. He was coaching at Montini Catholic High School, and one of my coaches at my local club knew Izzy and was like pushing me to go to Montini and to go and train with him because he was like friends with Izzy and knew that that would be very helpful for my wrestling career in future if I like committed to making a big step to like going to a bigger program like that and really committing. But yeah, so he introduced me. His name was Tony Marty, and he wrestled at Iowa for a year, I think, maybe like a senior year. And then yeah, ever since then I went to Izzy style, and I trained with like Izzy and the high school team even when I was in middle school. And yeah, it really, really changed the game for me going to Izzy style and that program from where I was. because he just brings a sort of intensity that at the time to me was unmatched.
Yeah, can you explain maybe that intensity or the differences between your youth practices and then with Montini and Izzy and what that was like and what you liked about it?
Yeah, I mean, Izzy just really told you how it is, um, which was it was new to me, but he really held you accountable, even the younger kids that weren't always like you might not always been willing to or wanting to do all the right things, as a younger kid just starting wrestling, and you really brought the best out of you in terms of like holding you accountable and making sure you're doing the right things and not slacking off even in school and every aspect of life really. So
Yeah.
he became a mentor for me in that aspect.
Did you find more challenges when you started working with Izzy and Montini? Because if you started in fifth grade and you pin everybody in your first tournament, it's like, okay, this guy's he's probably beating up on a lot of guys at practice too. Now you go to Montini, are you finding guys that can push you or start to beat you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean there was obviously not the best competition in the local clubs, and when you're going from there to a bigger program like Izzy style and Montini, it's going to be different with a bunch of new like people in the room pushing you and just the coaching staffs that have a lot more to offer in terms of technique and experience. So yeah, I mean, I would say the competitiveness in the practice rooms really ramped up once I came to a good program like Busy Style, and it benefited me a lot.
Did you recognize right away that was beneficial, or does it get discouraging when you're kicking everybody's ass and all of a sudden maybe you're somewhere in the middle?
Um, well, yeah, but I also knew my place. Like I knew that what I was getting myself into, and that this was obviously a lot higher competition. Like my results were still going up in tournaments and like competitions and stuff. So I didn't see it as a bad thing, but in the room it was like much harder and pushing each other every day. So it was just something that I had to accept that I wasn't going to whoop up on everyone in the practice room now. And but it was going to benefit me, in the long run.
Yeah, so you understood that, which is great. When did you I mean you won a cadet world title, right? Which I think is 17 and under. When did you like get your introduced to that concept that hey, I know there's the local youth state tournament and there's this, that, and the other, but there's like UWW and that whole circuit. Like, was that once you kind of started working with Izzy?
Yeah, I so I started doing freestyle and Greco probably in like seventh grade. Um, and that was like when I really just quit all other sports and I just committed to wrestling full time, even all year round in the summer and stuff. So um, I would say I went to all the kids nationals tournaments,
Uh-huh.
so I like knew of freestyle and Greco at that time, but I think I went to the cadet world team trials tournament three times. My first year wrestling in it, I think I wrestled Spencer Lee first round and he tacked me. And that's when I was like, all right, I need to I need to pick it up. I need to figure this out. I can't
Yeah.
come and lose first round at this tournament again. And then I ended up, putting it together. Um, Eventually being able to win the world team trials my junior year, I think.
Yeah. Uh, like, did you have belief that you could go overseas and win a title, or were you just kind of like, I'm gonna go overseas and let's see what happens? and he ended up winning.
Um, well, I honestly didn't know what to expect of the tournament, or really, because I had never competed in a international tournament like that. It was actually my first one. But I mean, the whole time I thought I was gonna win because I had the coaches in my ears telling me like you're gonna win. Like, don't listen to anyone. You got this. And like you gotta tell yourself, have that self belief that you're gonna win, even if you don't know what to expect, or even if the odds are against you, like that's just always been my way of thinking of things, like going into every match thinking that I got this and believing in myself. And I feel like that was instilled in me from a young age with Izzy and him helping me with that.
Yeah. Um, where was that World Championships? What country or city?
That was in Athens, Greece.
Okay, awesome. Um, what do you remember about the finals match? Either leading up to it, the moments before, or the match itself, and or like celebrating and winning. Like I just won a freaking world title.
What do I remember about it? I remember getting a takedown at the last second, and as I was getting that takedown, I sprained my ankle pretty bad. It was in like the last like 5 seconds of the match, and I like got up to celebrate, and I was all excited. But then I like realized that the adrenaline was wearing off, and my ankle was hurting really bad, and I was like limping around the mat. And that's actually why I had to forfeit out of the Who's Number One that year.
Oh no way.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't able to wrestle in it because I hurt my ankle in the last 5 seconds of the world's finals match. But and I was like limping around after the tournament. I mean, it was exciting though, being able to do that with representing USA. I wasn't really thinking about my ankle at the time, like after I won, but it's something that hurt me later on.
Yeah. So like that's super thrilling. Like a last second come from behind takedown to win a world title. Um, followed immediately by a sprained ankle. What a I guess I did. Yeah, like you said, you're happy, you love it, the adrenaline's going, and then at some point though, it's gonna wear off, and God, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Um, so on to high school, you compete for Montini, and I think you went 4-3-1-2 or something like that. You placed in the top four every year, and you won a title, and you won a world title. So clearly, this kid's destined for success, and I would imagine you got a lot of letters and or phone calls. What was the recruiting process like for you? Did you look at other schools, visit, and or consider any other schools before actually, ultimately deciding on Michigan?
Yeah, so I definitely considered other schools, but one of the top priorities for me when considering schools was academics. I wanted to go to a school that not only stood out with their wrestling, but with their academics. And that's why I looked at schools like Stanford, Michigan, North Carolina, like Princeton. And, I really considered those schools, but Ivy League was not an option for me considering like I was looking for scholarship, honestly, and they could not offer that with all of their rules
Yeah.
regarding athletic scholarships. And I visited those other schools and talked to a lot of their coaches. And honestly, Izzy helped me a lot with it. He knows and that's very well connected with a lot of those college coaches. And
Absolutely.
they would like go through him a lot of times to like talk about me and get my number and talk to me and stuff about that. So, but yeah, I really only truly considered schools that had reputable academic backgrounds as well. Because I wanted to be a part of a really good wrestling program, but like there's going to be life after college wrestling for me, and I want to have a degree that's going to you know give me options for what I want to do in the future.
Yeah. All that said, right? Considering Stanford and UNC and obviously Michigan academic schools with strong wrestling programs, what was it that ultimately was like, yeah, Michigan's the place?
Um, I came here and honestly, the facilities impressed me a lot. Um,
Definitely.
that was a big thing, but the coaching staff, I feel like I clicked with immediately. I had known Sean from he was actually one of the coaches that went overseas with me at Worlds, and so I got to build a good relationship with him over that whole summer, like at the Olympic Training Center and over in Greece. So that was definitely a key factor, and it's proven to continue throughout my college. He's been the coach that's helped me the most probably in my wrestling, always doing individuals with me and helping me when I need it. And when I need to make an adjustment, he'll, sit down with me and talk to me about what I need to fix and what I need to work on. So yeah, I mean, definitely the coaches and just the team culture overall was a good one, I felt like. And
Yeah.
that in itself was enough for me.
Yeah. Great place to land. So you come, you redshirt, and then you're in the lineup as a freshman. Pretty good season. Go to Big Tens, and then like everybody knows the story, right? Rug gets
Oh
pulled
yeah.
out. NCAAs are canceled. Like I don't even know if it was a week prior. Um, what do you remember about the meeting where Coach told you guys, and then what you did later that day or the next weeks or months? Everybody's kind of got a unique story of kind of how they went through this and handled it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty whack time, honestly. We had known something was up because we were having a team meeting when we were supposed to have practice, like a few days before we were supposed to leave for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And we were like, we heard about this COVID thing. We were like, what is this? Is it really going to affect our NCAA tournament? Like, there's no way. And we get called in to the locker room. Sean's talking to us, and he's like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, there's nothing I can do here. The NCAAs is going to be canceled, and it is what it is. And like it was very emotional in the locker room. Like we had fifth years and seniors that it was their last year that will never get to compete again, would never have the chance to compete again because they got cut short. And for me, it was like this was going to be my first NCAA tournament. Like I feel like I was being robbed of a year of my eligibility, and it was just super upsetting. Like the vibes were very low in the locker room, but and then they had the lockdowns, and pretty much right after everyone just went home for a while. And we would have like team Zoom meetings to like keep in touch and stuff and make sure everyone's doing the right things, but like it was pretty much on your own for a little bit you know
Yeah. Yeah. Super. I've talked to a lot of people about their stories, and you hear a very similar sentiment echoed. Coach called us in. What the heck's going on? News drops. Record scratch.
Yeah.
Very heavy kind of feeling. Um, so we're locked down. We're all locked down for weeks, months, whatever. Were you at your parents' house back in Illinois, and how did you keep yourself moving?
Yeah, I mean, I was back in Chicago, back at my childhood home. I honestly hadn't really gotten to spend much time at home ever since I've gotten to college, just because of how busy I've been with school and wrestling. But it was nice to be home for a little bit. I will say that. But the training was it was all right. I got to go to Izzy style, so and train with Izzy. He kept his gym open, of
Of
course,
course he
because
did. I love it.
because why not? But
Yeah.
so yeah, I got to still get some good training in, so that was ideal. But it's just sucked that like it really wasn't a normal college experience at that point. Like I wanted to be there in the summer working with my team, lifting and going to practice like with the team. But you know, I still got to improve myself even in the difficult times.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that all of us, older than me and younger than you are going to tell our grandkids.
Yeah.
Back in 2020, this is how we all handled this year or this chunk of time, and it was weird, but this is what we did. Like I said, everybody's kind of got their own story. Okay, fast forward to this past year. Successful season. Man, I want to talk about the NCAAs because if I remember correctly, you had like a bunch of razor thin wins, and it's like these are these matches that could tip either way, and maybe there were 2 or 3 rideouts, or I know there's at least multiple overtime matches. Talk me through like. Well, first, tell me exactly what happened because I don't remember, but I know it was something like that, and then like just getting in these dicey, razor thin situations. I just remember you like seemed so calm, and you found a way to win most of them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in a lot of close matches, I'd say, throughout my college wrestling career, and it's something that I'm trying to work on to get past, and like separate myself a little bit. But I'm definitely comfortable in those scenarios, and I feel like I've just trained myself to be able to be in those situations and know that I have to stay calm and continue to work on the things that I need to do to win the match and not ever like doubt myself or give up. Cause yeah, like you said, I think I had 3 overtime matches and the rest of them were pretty close. But yeah, I think I won my first one in over. That was probably the closest match, honestly. It was like tiebreaker. I had to escape in like 1 second.
I do remember now. I was like, oh, he's
Do you
screwed.
remember? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, how did he do that? What? I think you like hit a
I
hip
don't know.
heist or something.
Honestly, I was like, I never for a second doubted that I wasn't gonna get away, even when there was like 2 or 3 seconds left on the clock. Because I was like, I don't know, I couldn't imagine myself losing in that situation, so I was just kept trying to do the things to win the match, and not worrying about what might happen if I lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was that, and then the next round I think was overtime as well. The Iowa match. And then yeah, I might have waited too long in some of these matches to like really get going because I know I have it in me to like go get these takedowns, but sometimes it happened a little later than I wanted it to, which is definitely something I'm continuing to work on even in the practice room today. But yeah, and then what was my third match?
And we don't have to go through match by match necessarily, but to the point you just made that sometimes I made it too long to kind of get going, right? Do you think that's a physical thing where you need to warm up more or earlier or later or physically have a different heart rate or whatever you want to call it coming into the match, or do you think it's more like just like, man, I just need to pull the trigger?
It's definitely a mental thing. I've done a lot of work these past couple seasons on my mental part of the game, and like you guys might not see it, but even from where I was at NCAs this past year was a lot of an improvement for how I've been in the past. And like we've worked with sports psychologists on our team to try and work around these mental barriers that some of us might have. And for me, it's sometimes it's like doubting myself sometimes that maybe I need to hold back and not fully like release all my attacks that I know I have in these tough situations, but yeah, it's something that we've worked on a lot and that I've worked on, that I'm continuing to work on. And yeah.
I think that's interesting because, I feel like this happens at every level. Like Zane Rutherford was here on the show yesterday, and we had a long discussion about overcoming mental hurdles, doubt creeping in, and he's talked about kind of the same things you're talking about. He dove real deep into like unlocking and retraining his brain to think a different way to kind of have different perspective and approach to a match. So I think it's really cool to hear, if youth kids are watching this, they're like, oh, Will Lewan, he's an NCAA American, but you're like, hey, this is something I deal with. And college guys might be like, well, Zane, he won 3 NCAA titles in two Hodges, and he's still dealing with these things. So I think that's something that I don't know, maybe never goes away, and it's just that you constantly have to, we know you got to train hard and wrestle hard, be conditioned and know how to shoot your shots and everything else. But there's this other side that's equally as important.
Right.
So I think that's cool to hear to hear you talk about it and address it, and hear Zane talk about it, and address it.
Yeah, I really think the mental aspect of the game is really something that gets overlooked. And like if you leave it unchecked, then it can really affect your wrestling. And if you don't, hone those mental skills and work on them, or work on what you need to, that you kind of lack, then you're not going to be your best self out there wrestling. And sometimes it's just being honest with yourself and having that conversation that, like, this is what I need to fix, like, and I mean, that can go a tremendous way. It really did for me, especially this past year at the NCAA tournament and Big Tens, and just in the entire postseason, like just focusing on the mental aspect of my wrestling, was huge.
Yeah, I think it's paramount, to success. And I know you got a hard out here in about 10 minutes or so maybe even less. But I want to get to a couple more things. Obviously, we
Yeah.
mentioned at the top of the show, the NWCA All Star Classic. You're right, Bryce Antonian. First of all, it hasn't been around for a few years. So do you have much recollection of this event from the past, from the recent past, or further back?
Yeah, I do. I think uh I think Miles wrestled in it the last time they had it. And we watched him, right? I do remember the event, and it's really cool that I get to compete in something that has been so big for so many years and is having a big comeback. Um, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and to Bryce Antonian, right? He's kind of a wide open wrestler. Has a pretty wide open style. He was third last year at 149. What do you know about Bryce Antonian? His style, him as a wrestler?
Yeah, I know he's kind of funky. I know he likes to likes the big moves and likes you know, to throw the kitchen sink at you in a sense. And I feel like it's gonna really our style matchups will clash in that aspect. Um, I personally am gonna try and wrestle my match and control what I can control, you know,
Yeah,
and take it from there because I know he likes to do all that stuff, but I'll be ready.
is this an instance where you'll watch film, or you have, or a little bit, or you let your coaches do that, or like going blind? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I don't like to go in blind, but I also don't like to go in over analyzing, you know?
Yeah,
So we'll probably just be prepared for certain things that he might do, or just have a good general idea of the style and way he's going to wrestle me, and just be prepared to control the match and wrestle my match.
yeah,
That's usually how I go into big matches like that, anyways. So not much will change.
yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it. That's taking place right here, actually, in this building. So we're definitely pumped to have you down in Austin, Texas. And as we roll into the final segment, we got a couple quick kind of games we like to play. And Kyle Klingman's been sitting over here, very quietly and patiently, but he's gonna come over here and try to stump you. Take it away,
Okay.
Kyle.
I don't know if it'll be as tough as your major, but we'll give you 5 questions. It's called Sweat It Out. Are you ready to play, Will?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. All right, number 1, what former Iowa State basketball player coached the Chicago Bulls?
Um, Iowa State basketball player coach Chicago Bulls. I don't know.
Fred Hoiberg.
I didn't know that one.
That's
No
kind of
idea. All
random.
right. Well, I thought he liked the Bulls, so.
Oh,
I'm not big into basketball, to be honest.
All right, well, the next one's basketball, so you better get ready for this. Number
Oh,
2,
no.
where did Scottie Pippen play basketball in college?
Oh man. Well, he was on the Bulls. I know that.
That's true.
I'm gonna say Duke.
Central Arkansas.
all right. It's so random.
Yeah. All right,
What?
we're going back to wrestling here. Number 3, who did you defeat in the finals of the 2018 Michigan State Open?
Oh, that was Alec Pantaleo.
Yep, 10-8 sudden victory. You got it. I hope you like football because number 4 is football. Name the 2 Chicago Bears running backs featured in the movie Brian's Song.
What movie?
Yeah, what?
Brian's. It's called Brian's Song.
Where you coming
What
up
year
this?
is it from?
They made a remake just a few years ago, and this one's from the 70s.
70s. Okay.
This is
Yeah.
this is Kyle. This is but Kyle's old. This is back when Kyle's
It's
childhood.
true.
Is it Gale Sayers?
Dale Sayers is one.
Ooh, ooh.
He's got it. I mean,
I
this
wouldn't
is
have got
good
that.
work.
Um,
I mean, the next one is.
I'm not gonna get this next one probably, but I'm
Well,
gonna have to.
his first name's Brian. Maybe you could surmise that, but his name's Brian Piccolo.
We'll give him a half.
Yeah, give him half.
I'll take half a point there.
Half a day.
You'll get half.
These are some
And then
tough questions.
Yeah.
I know. I wanted to make it tougher than your major, I guess. And number 5,
Everything's
what year did Kevin Jackson win his first world title?
Was it 19?
These are tough.
1982, 84, 1984, 1986.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna say maybe even the 90s.
Yeah. He won his gold. He won his Olympic gold. Yeah. He won
Yeah.
his Olympic gold medal in '92.
92. I knew that. Oh, you're right.
What year did he win his first world though?
So 90, 91.
Yep, 91. He got it. Don't back out. You got it. Nice work.
Is that all of them?
Nice work. Yeah, that's 5.
All right, 2.5 out of 5.
KJ's gonna be mad at me.
Yeah, how old do you think he is?
Yeah.
I'm not that. I don't know.
That's okay. One more quick game. We'll let you hop off here. This one's called Wins and Whoopins. So we want to think back over the entire span of your career, and everybody's got one win that they remember for whatever reason and feel good about, and one loss that they try to forget. Can you think of one win that, it was just a great win? It can be your best or favorite or most memorable, or for whatever reason it stands out. It can be kids club, high school, college. It can be a world final when you sprained your ankle in the last second. And then one butt whooping you took that you just like, this guy ragdolled me. And maybe it was Spencer, you mentioned earlier. Maybe it's something else. But yeah, thinking of one win and one whooping. You can do either one first.
Jeez, yeah, winning in the World Finals was pretty sweet. I mean, honestly, I have to go with that just because there's nothing like getting to carry the U.S. flag around the mat and getting a gold medal, and being on top of the world, right? Like that's got to be number one for me. Even throughout all the college wrestling, like that was just such a cool experience. And then a loss would probably be at Ironman. I lost to Sasso. I think it was my senior year, and he handled me. He beat me pretty bad, and I was like down on myself after that. I was really upset because I went into the match thinking I had him and I could beat him, and then I had some adjustments to make for sure after that. And I think it was a good thing for me taking a loss like that, especially right, you know, year before going into college. Because yeah, I haven't had a loss that bad since then. Nearly as bad, honestly. But yeah, that's definitely one that stood out to me.
All right, the world title and the loss to Sasso at Ironman. Cool, Will. We're just about out of time. I know you got to get to class, so we'll give you the last word before we let you leave. Though, anything you want to say about anything?
Um, don't sleep on Michigan wrestling this year. That's about all I have to say. We came off a good season last year, and we might have lost some guys, but we got guys filling in shoes for them. So don't don't sleep on us.
All right, go blue. Will,
Go
thanks
blue.
so
I like
much.
the shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, happen to be wearing this today. No, so thanks so much for joining us, man. Have a great day. We'll see you down here on November 22nd. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, man. Take care. Have a
Yep.
great day.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Kyle, there you go. Will Lewan, number one ranked 157 pounder in the land. Good conversation.
Guy's a hammer, man. It's gonna be fun to watch him this season.
Yep. Yep. Stoked, man. Looking forward to it. We'll keep an eye on Michigan, as he said. And that's going to do it for today's show. So for Kyle Klingman, I'm Mark Bader. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.